An epidemic of dairy-fueled milkshake assaults has swept across the nation to oppose Nigel Farage, Carl Benjamin and Tommy Robinson, although the latter was also accompanied by bricks and bottles. That was a statement I didn't expect to ever have to put pen to paper for in covering interesting points of news. Even more barbaric are the responses from news outlets that have refused to condemn in any way, shape or form the acts, presenting them in the closest to a neutral light as I have ever seen the mainstream media of late, although I notice none of them have gone so far as to call the attacks what they happen to be, which is assault. The Twitter mob have been split into two equal groups, the naturally outraged at an act of violence, no matter how slight, committed against legitimate political candidates, and the other side, of course, the joyous left, as I like to call them, the people crying out in laughter over the dousing of their political opponents in salted caramel-flavoured beverages. The assaults continue to contribute to such stupid acts of capitulation by venues such as Exeter Cathedral, who instead of saying, "We will not negotiate with terrorists," chose instead to ban Carl Benjamin, that Sargon of Akkad, from taking part in hustings, saying he was a risk to public order. What utter nonsense! The risk to order comes exclusively from those who choose to assault their political opposition when they have no argument or stance that can be justified, and they know it. The criticism of Exeter Cathedral should be directed at the Exeter Constabulary, who should be doing their job and keeping these deranged freaks away from those who want to have legitimate conversation. When it comes to all of these attacks, the most heinous is, of course, the assault on Tommy Robinson, who, regardless of whether you agree with him, suffered attacks from the Muslim Defence League, who threw bottles, bricks and other debris at him as he campaigned in the north of England. None of the coverage of that event was negative towards the Islamist extremists, and despite the familiarity of the name, no parallel was drawn decrying them in the same manner as the mainstream cares to decry something like, the English Defence League. That's not a support for the English Defence League, that's just pointing out the media bias. More and more people laugh at the lunacy of these attacks as just a bit of fun or karmic comeuppance, with even major fast food chain Burger King making a comment advertising milkshakes and tacitly encouraging, to take the most conservative view, or to be more accurate in my mind, tacitly inciting to violence members of the public. Will Burger King face consequences? Of course not, and yet another bizarre sentence I did not think I would have to utter has been checked off my list for this year. To anyone who still thinks this is okay, consider this. What happens when it's not a milkshake? What happens when someone fills a cup with hydrochloric acid instead? What happens when it's a cup of nails, or piss, or feces? What happens when they decide karmic justice becomes a bullet to the face? Because that's the line that has been crossed. The sanctity of a basic fundamental human right has been violated. And it's all downhill from here unless someone in government or the police grows some bloody stones and puts a stop to it. In hindsight, this may be seen as a trigger for a new wave of violent, reactionary political violence, and everyone who laughs this event off is complicit. That's just my 2 cents for what it's worth. Have a great week. Thank you very much for listening this far. If you liked this video, please like, comment and subscribe to let me know what you thought. If you didn't like this video, please comment and subscribe and let me know why. Take care.